Hi friends, I'm Day, your host, travel lover, deal finder, and storyteller. And this is Wander Every Day, the podcast where real talk meets real trips. Each week, I sit down with some of my favorite well-traveled friends to swap stories. We're diving in on where to stay, what to eat, how to spend your time and money, and how to enjoy exploring the world. Now, let's wander. Oh my goodness. Guys, before we get started, can I please just take a moment to thank each and every one of you who listened to episode 1 of Wander Every Day. I cannot begin to express how appreciative I am. I received the most incredible feedback from episode 1 that each of you enjoyed our episode and specifically enjoyed listening to Sam talk about her trip to Thailand and Vietnam. I really look forward to continuing to make content that you enjoy each and every week with the intent that we cover different travel destinations with different budgets, all with providing you either inspiration or tangible recommendations for your own trips. On this episode of Wander Every Day, we're sitting down with Nick and Lindsey to discuss their dream honeymoon getaway to Athens in the Greek islands. This episode has a very personal connection for me as well, as Nick and my Nick, went on our honeymoon to Greece just a few Septembers ago. In fact, prior to Nick and Lindsey going on their honeymoon, we actually spoke a lot about the recommendations that we had for them, specifically about Athens and Santorini, which are both places that we went on our honeymoon. Nick and I loved Greece. In fact, considering my husband's half Italian, we almost would say that we liked Greece better than Italy. I know. It's a hot take. But there's something about the incredible sunsets, the fresh food, the kind people, and the pace of life in Greece that's just unmatched compared to anywhere else in the world I've ever been. Before we decided to go to Italy this year, we actually talked about going to two of the places that Nick and Lindsey went to on their honeymoon because it sounded so incredible. But we decided to go to Italy instead, and Naxos and Paros will have to wait for a future trip. In fact, this is Greece Part 1. Next week, I'm going to be reviewing my husband and I's trip to Greece so that we can review the destinations that we don't discuss on this episode, which includes other islands such as Mykonos, Rhodes, Kefalonia, Corfu, and Nick and I's time on the mainland outside of Athens, in Nafplio, and at an all-inclusive resort in Anivassos, just south of Athens. But let's get to it. Here's my interview with Nick and Lindsey about their honeymoon to Greece. Join me as we welcome my two favorite newlyweds, Nick and Lindsey, to relive their dreamy 2-week honeymoon in Greece. They're here to share tales from their incredible trip. And trust me, it's the stuff dreams and Insta-feeds are made of. From the ancient streets of Athens to the breathtaking sunsets of Santorini, or the stunning beaches of Naxos and Paros, Nick and Lindsey are here to share their island-hopping adventures and unforgettable experiences in this Greek paradise. So grab your passport, or at least a glass of ouzo, and get ready to laugh, learn, and maybe even plan your own dream getaway as we relive Nick and Lindsey's unforgettable Grecian honeymoon. Nick and Lindsey, welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having us.
Here we are after many golfing adventures together and being able to be at each other's weddings and enjoy fun times as couples. I'm so happy to have you guys on the podcast. So we're here today to talk about your honeymoon to Greece. The first question in my mind is, of all the dream destinations in the world you could have gone to, why did you guys choose Greece specifically?
So when Nick and I met, we went for a drink at Fool and Flagon. It's a bump in Hamilton bar. We were just sitting down on a date. And we're like, okay, so where's your number one dream destination to go? And answer same time, 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. And we both said Greece. And we're like, holy crap. And then we got to talking more in our relationship about honeymoon destinations. We're like, you know what? I think Greece would be a really good honeymoon destination because it's so vast. There's so many options and everything's so different depending where you go. I thought it was just literally funny and very soulmatey that we both wanted to go to Greece so bad. And as soon as we knew, we were like, okay, when we get married, this is gonna happen.
How long were you guys together before you got married?
It was almost nine years, I think.
I think 9 years.
10 years after marriage, so 9 years, yeah.
So this is something you'd been manifesting for pretty much a decade.
Yep, 100%. And it never changed, never wavered. Always Greece.
Okay, that's commitment.
100%.
Is there a reason you chose the specific places you did in Greece? Because there are so many places to go. So how did you choose your itinerary?
When we had first started talking about Greece, the immediate destination that came to mind was Santorini, as I'm sure it does for most people that are researching Greece. But we did take some time to really decide what islands we wanted to go to, just because there's so many in the Cyclades that we wanted to make sure we captured a little bit of everything we were looking for with Greece. And we ultimately landed on 3 islands and Athens.
Many people go to Mykonos. Mykonos, other than Santorini, I think is the most popular island. So why did you choose Naxos and Paros over going to Mykonos, or even Milos? There's Zakynthos. Like, there's so many islands. So why Naxos and Paros?
Well, I feel like Santorini and Mykonos to us looked so similar. And so we were like, well, which one would we prefer? Nick and I are not like huge party people. And Mykonos, from what we've heard, is just like party central, party island. In our research, we actually heard that Paros was considered baby Mykonos. We're like, that seems more like our speed, like baby Mykonos. But just overall, like Santorini, I think what really drew us there was the Caldera. For me, the big attraction was this hike that we saw people doing, and just like seeing that basically every single hotel had an amazing view, whereas Mykonos just seemed, I don't know, like I feel like I'm giving it like a bad description, but it just seems
I've been to
like,
Mykonos, so I'll give it a bad rap. Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're also older. We're in our 30s now. What we'd heard about Mykonos, we kind of decided to avoid that.
On the day budget travel scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is the absolute cheapest accommodation, street food, minimal to no paid activities, and 10 is absolute luxury, no budget, 4 seasons traveling, where would you guys rate yourself from 1 to 10?
Before we answer, I'm curious what your opinion is on what you think our number would be.
I love that you asked that, because...
What are we giving? What number are we giving?
Okay, so... how about I start by telling you what I identify as a 5, like a true 5. I'm all about value. I like to do things, but I don't like to overspend. As I have a slight perception that you guys maybe spend a little bit more than we do. So I'm going to rate you a 6. That's my personal rating, but don't hate me. Don't hate me because you hate me.
You know what? I think that rating is pretty, I would consider us a 6 or a 7 maybe.
7.
We talked about this before.
We were creeping into the 7 for sure. I will admit, though, that because it was our honeymoon, this trip is a little bit unusual in our spending, taking in the fact that this is our honeymoon. It's our big trip, and we really wanted to enjoy it. So we did spend a little bit than we normally would, but I would probably say a 6 or a 7 for me. Lindsay, what do you think?
If you're asking on like a day-to-day and not just Greece, I would say probably a 6. I think 7 might be a little high. Nick and I are the type of people who we YOLO a lot. We get there, we're like, we have a budget, and then we're like, oh, we can just pay for this one expensive dinner, no big deal. But like, we do keep our budget in mind when we go places. I will say that even for like Greece, we kind of tiered it, like we would have one expensive hotel and one less expensive hotel, so like we would justify it. I feel like you probably agree, Nick. I feel like Greece was more of like a 7 or an 8, maybe. An 8, maybe. Greece was pretty bad.
Once again, though, you do talk about how it's your honeymoon, and it is a different experience, right? So don't worry. I'm really excited to hear about it. Tell us about your general trip itinerary.
So we started our trip, we landed in Athens, and we spent 2 days in Athens. We then decided that we wanted to get Santorini done right away, and we went and took the ferry from Athens to Santorini, and then we took a ferry to Naxos, and we spent 3 days in Naxos town, which is kind of in the heart of Naxos. And after 3 days there, we spent 4 days in Paros, following a day or two travel back in Canada.
Are there any go-to websites or apps that you use to find your various accommodations, or maybe even the ferry?
When we look for accommodations, we mainly look at YouTube. That's our first go-to. We like to watch other vloggers and stuff and see where they've stayed. Honestly, I feel like that's something that we picked up from you, Daytona. We just like went down a rabbit hole of like watching YouTube videos of people going to different places and their opinions on it. That's one source. Secondly, Nick uses Expedia a lot and he navigates it really well. We look for ratings in TripAdvisor as well. Like we always want to make sure, because a hotel can say it's 4-star, but like, are people actually really having that experience? So the main things that we're looking for are people liking it? what's the rating and is it vibey? Basically, well, like for Greece anyway, like what's the vibe? Like we want it to look cute, but understanding that we're probably not going to be in the hotel room all the time. So we
I
don't
feel
want
like
like
you
a
want it
two-star.
to look cute. I want it to be practical and cost
Both.
efficient.
It can be both.
For the ferries, navigating the ferries can sometimes be really hectic. A lot of people do save it to the day of to buy your tickets, but we are not those types of people. We like having our tickets way in advance, sometimes even 3, 4 months in advance, so that we know when we book our hotels and we book our stays that everything lines up perfectly. So we used an app called Ferry Hopper. And what that app really does is it takes all the different ferry operators and puts it into one spot so you can decide, do you want the quicker ferry? Do you want the more stable ferry? Do you want a ferry that takes its time or maybe visits multiple islands and what have you, and puts it in one spot? It also catalogs all your tickets. So it made it a lot easier to go through the islands. And if anyone is in the process of booking that or looking into ferries, I 100% think that app is a really good place to start.
Do you plan your days in advance or do you try and keep your trip spontaneous?
We like to do a bit of both. We like to get the core activities planned. Restaurants that we really want to visit, excursions that we really want to go on. And we want to make sure that we get the one that we want and that we're not missing that opportunity. So we booked a lot of our, and obviously hotels, like who books a hotel last minute, that would drive up.
Some people do that.
I couldn't.
Some of my
Like,
friends do that.
I bless them because I would be frazzled. Like I just couldn't. I couldn't handle it. We leave room for spontaneity. I would say we schedule spontaneity, but we don't. We leave some of our days open and our times open because we know we're going to walk around and find stuff.
That's very similar to our travel style too. We have our core activity of the day, I'd say, which we typically try to do in the morning. And then the afternoon is like free time. Now, I generally have things in mind, like, is there a winery nearby? Or maybe there's a restaurant we want to go to, but I would say our scheduling parameters are similar. So you guys get to Athens. Are there any culture shocks or things that caught you off guard right away?
You know, we prearranged our shuttle. So we were met at the airport right when we got off our flight. Thankfully, our hotel that worked with us because of the Expedia status. So they had offered a free shuttle. We actually stayed all the way in Paros, which is on the waterfront of Athens. So well outside the city, probably 40 minutes or so. So that 40-minute drive, we had the greatest shuttle driver. He gave us so many good recommendations. He was so accommodating. He was so nice. So we kind of got rid of the culture shock almost right away. The only thing is when we got out of the shuttle into our hotel, it was right where all the ferries actually dock in and pick up passengers. So it was really hectic. And I was like, oh, this feels like a lot different than what I'm used to. But other than that, everybody was great. There was no language barriers that I saw. The one thing that'll catch you off guard though is that Greek language. It is a whole different alphabet. It looks very strange, and you cannot work your way through it like with French or something like that.
So I remember when we were coming in on the plane, just seeing the difference in the way the buildings were. So like leaving Toronto, it was so like bright and skyscraper, you know, it looks like twinkly night sky when you're leaving. Coming into Athens, it was just all white, stacked building. The one main thing I remember being like, I don't know how these people drive in Athens. It's so tight. It's so, like, every car had to be small. Like, we have a Bronco. There's no way we could drive the Bronco in Athens. Absolutely
no way.
not. But that
Absolutely
was the
no
only
way.
thing. And I remember we asked our cab driver, we're like, how do you like driving here? Because it's so chaotic. And she's like, actually, the islands are way worse. And like, they are and they aren't, because like we drove a bit on the islands ourselves, but like they're not as packed, but the roads are so tight and windy and hilly.
Something I heard a lot before we went to Greece was that Athens was dirty and that people didn't like it because they didn't feel it was clean enough.
I think being exposed to Toronto, you know,
Hamilton
like in
as well.
Hamilton, like downtown Hamilton, like it seemed really packed and a little dirty, but like that's a city, you know what I mean? Like any city is like that.
I also think that the graffiti, because there is quite a bit of street art that are on the buildings, I think that also gives it a worse rep than what it actually is. Like, it's definitely not a super dirty city. I didn't feel like unsafe in any areas or anything like that.
So you guys went to the ferry terminal. How was your actual experience taking the ferry from Piraeus to Santorini?
So we had just been on a cruise for the very first time in the April prior. So we went to Greece in September. And I think we were like, okay, yeah, it's going to be similar to like a cruise ship. but like a lot smaller. We had one bad experience with one of the ferries, but the first one we took wasn't too bad once you're on. Getting onto it is a freaking nightmare. It's like Armageddon. Everybody's rushing to get onto the port. You're holding your suitcases, rolling over people's feet. Like, it's, if you could find a clip and insert it, like people getting on and off the ferries, it is just pure chaos. And they're just in it. They dock, you go on, you sit, they're out. It's like quick. You got to be quick and you can't get in people's ways. But other than that, like being on the actual ferry, like I found it was smooth. There was like good food on the ferries and like it was pretty quick. So it's just the process of getting on and off was very chaotic.
They also don't have very good signage up, so you kind of just have to guess. You'll have a general idea of where you're supposed to be, but queues will start forming well before because a lot of people do come early to these ships. And sometimes the signage can change pretty quickly because these ships do get delayed depending on the weather.
So you guys weren't affected either by strikes, because I've also heard that ferries in Greece can often get delayed or canceled because of port strikes.
Yeah, we never had that, but that's part of it, right? Doing that due diligence and making sure that
like full port strikes or like ship strikes?
Like either the port authority will go on strike or the actual ferry companies will go on strike, and it happens quite frequently. So I guess what I'm trying to get at here is I think a lot of people have a bit of a concern about relying on ferry transportation because 1, it's chaotic, 2, it is weather dependent, and 3, there's always a chance that there's strikes. So I guess I'm trying to just gauge whether you enjoyed taking the ferry, if you think it was a good mode of transportation, if you think other people in the future can rely on taking ferries if they're going to do the Greek islands like you guys did.
I absolutely would rely. We never had any issues with them. It was a nice way to travel between the islands, and kind of you still get a view when you're traveling and you still get that experience. If you get seasick, that's something you also want to consider when you're booking those ferries is the size of them and how they feel with the weather. It's like a cruise ship. You barely feel anything, but if you're in a little rocking boat, you're going to feel everything in the
So you arrive in Santorini. Where did you stay?
So we booked at a hotel called Hotel Sunnyvillas. It was in Imerovigli. So if you're looking at a map of Santorini, it's like smack in the middle. You've got Ferry on one end, Caya on the other end, and Imerovigli in the middle. I do want to say, like, our entire trip was basically planned around this hotel.
And its availability.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. So we looked for a really nice hotel in Santorini because that was the one place we decided we wanted to splurge. The reason being is because we figured Santorini is going to be the most expensive. Want to hang out on our balcony and soak in the views, like the beautiful sunsets, grab a bottle of wine, bring it back to the room.
When you arrived in Santorini via the ferry, I'm assuming you had to take the funicular up to the top of Ferry.
Yes.
No. We got picked up.
We took the road.
Our part of the Expedia thing is we had a shuttle come down and pick us up. So there was a guy just waiting for us, and he drove us up
at the ferry port?
At the ferry port, yeah, straight from the ferry port.
Nice.
So we got picked up and put right to the front door. There's a lot of chaos, and people don't realize, and people don't book, and they wait for those buses, but those buses can get really packed really quickly. So for us, one of the things we wanted is to make sure we had a shuttle because it's not super easy and it takes a lot of time out of your day. And if you're in Santorini for a limited amount of time, you might not have time to spend a couple hours waiting to get to where you need to go, and you might want to get somewhere fast. So that's why booking a shuttle was crucial for us. It was awesome.
What did you say? The viticular? What is that?
The funicular.
That's like the thing that carries you up, right? Like the little elevator looking thing. You like.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
at the Ferry cruise port. There's a funicular that goes up and takes you on top of the hill, and it is so sketchy. I literally was shaking when I was on it. It goes at like a 60-degree angle.
You didn't take the donkeys
doing this
up
the whole time.
You didn't let the donkeys take you up?
I've heard from many people that the donkey situation's a little inhumane. So even on the cruise, because we went to Santorini as a cruise stop, basically on the cruise ship, they're like, do not take the donkeys. It is not humane. They don't drink water. They're in the heat all day. Please take the funicular. So that's what we did.
Yeah, 100%. I agree 100%.
And I recommend to everyone who's listening, please do not take the donkeys up the path. Please take the funicular. It's not great for the donkeys. We're a animal-sensitive podcast. Tell us more details about your accommodation at Hotel Sunnyvillas.
In Santorini, because that was our dream destination when we decided on our honeymoon, we decided we were going all out in Santorini. No budget. Which is why I felt a little bit more
budget.
no
That's
budget.
not true. That's not true.
There was a little bit of budget. I mean, we are financially constrained by what we have available, so that was our budget. But we decided we really wanted balcony view with a pool, with the outside where you could just lay in the sun and kind of do everything on your own. The problem is they only had one room available during our entire time we wanted to stay. So we had to plan our whole trip around this one room. But it was actually a villa. So it was a 2-bedroom house, like almost like a townhouse. It was carved right into the rock. The bathroom was made out of volcanic rock from the Caldera. It was an amazing hotel. We had our own little it was like a plunge pool and it lit up at night. And it was actually right in front of Scaros Rock in Imerovigli. So it was a really beautiful hotel and they were really good at Hotel Sunnyvillas. We would definitely recommend them.
Greater or lesser than did you spend $1,000 a night on this hotel?
More for sure.
Holy-
Yeah, it was a lot. It was
You
more
blacked
than
out.
I thought we were going to spend, but at the same time, like I said, with it being our honeymoon, it was definitely something where I could spend a little extra and feel okay about it and not hate myself after. So yeah.
Hashtag
The
no
budget
regret.
traveler in me is a little squirmish about that, but the lover of romance and a good view with a glass of wine and a Santorini sunset is all for it. So don't worry.
On the second night, I believe there was a wedding that was happening. We couldn't see it, but you could hear it a little bit. And they put on a fireworks show at
Yeah.
night, right
Oh, that's
during
super nice.
sunset. So we had a full fireworks show. I totally told Lindsay that I planned it as part of our honeymoon, and it was totally me and not the wedding that put the fireworks out there. She did not believe it, but gotta try.
What did
So
you guys
romantic.
do in Santorini?
Our whole thing with Santorini was our main event was this Caldera hike that we wanted to do. So the hike goes from Fira to Ia, but we were staying in Imerovigli and Nick has never hiked before. I hike. I'm like looking it up on all trails. I'm like, Nick, it's got like a intermediate level. Like it's okay. Like we can handle it. So we kind of like planned our whole itinerary around this hike. We did it on the last day so that we wouldn't be tired for doing other things. With the
Which
first,
turned out to be the hottest day too of all the days there. So
yeah.
that was
So like
that
that
was
was the main
Typically.
that was
Yep.
the main attraction, but like if you want to go day by day, the first day we got there, I think we probably arrived a little bit late with the ferry because we had like a late lunch. We did a little bit of exploring just of our immediate area, what we could walk. Very, very hilly, lots of stairs. So like don't wear heels. Don't wear thin heels. Wear chunky heels if you want to wear heels. We had a few recommendations from people. We went to the wine bar for dinner that night, which we went there for sunset, really good view. And then literally rest of the night spent the night in our pool and just watched the sunset. We did that every night with Santorini. The good thing about I think every hotel was breakfast was included, so the following day had our breakfast. We did our wine tastings the next day. I think there's only 2 big wineries in Santorini, so we went to Santo Wines and Venet Santo's winery and we did those back to back. We just did like little nibbles with the first one, and the second one they had like a full lunch spread. First time we tried that chickpea dip. I don't remember what it was called though. I don't know. If
Hummus?
No.
no.
Sorry.
Not
It wasn't
hummus.
chickpea. Sorry. It was fava beans.
Fava beans, yeah.
Yeah. The fava bean. Oh, it was so good. It just tasted like fancy habitant-y soup. It did. I was like, this tastes familiar. There was another restaurant that was recommended to us called Avocado. We went there for dinner, and then the fireworks happened at Scarlet's Rock that night. And then the next night, or the next day, that was our hike. So we did our hike from Imerovigli to Ia. We explored Ia, got another pita at Pita Euros, and then came back, and guess what we did? Balcony, pool, wine.
As
We
you
also-
should if you're spending a G a night on your hotel.
Right. So then
Exactly.
we also went to another place around the corner called Let's Eat, and they did Euros, but we met the manager. I think his name was Christoph, and
It
he
was
a
something super Greek.
yeah, very, very Greek name. Super nice guy. We told him it was our honeymoon, and he goes to the fridge cabinet and he opens it up and he brings out this water bottle and he's like, "We're gonna drink." And
He's like, here. He puts this
Yeah.
on the table and he's like, we're gonna drink this. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what is this, sir?
So I was like, "Well, what is that?" And he's like, "Greek moonshine." And I said, "Oh, Okay. And he's like, yeah, we call it Rocky. My friend on the island of Crete brewed this in his bathtub. So he opened it up and I took a sniff of it and I was like, oh, okay. This is gonna feel good. So we ended up just drinking with him the one night. It was ended up being a great night. And we went back and we drank it again. It was actually pretty good.
Afraid to drink this because he's like, it's Greek moonshine. I'm like, is it moonshine like 100 proof? And I'm like, I can't drink this. I can't drink this. I'm gonna throw up, right? And Nick had, he's like, it's not that bad. So for those of you that don't know, Rocky is literally wine liquor. It's like a vodka, but it tastes like wine because it's made from grapes, and it's actually very good. And like, there's different restaurants that have different types of it. Like his was kind of strong, but we had it at another restaurant as a dessert.
One thing I would say about where we stayed as well in Imerovigli is certain areas of Santorini all do different things for different people. We found that Imerovigli was very quiet at night. It didn't have a lot of nightlife, but it was very private, secluded, and you still got a really good view of the sunset. Whereas Ia, really, if you're looking for nightlife, if you're looking for multiple different things to do, past dark, I definitely would approach it and try and stay in Ia. Whereas Fira, we found, because I believe the cruise ships dock and Fira is the closest area, it was very touristy, and we probably wouldn't recommend staying there as much as Imerovigli and Ia.
Something I didn't ask you about at the very beginning is what were the dates of your trip?
Okay,
We went from September 3rd until September 15th.
When we went in September, it was very hot, and we were in Santorini the 16th of September, and it was like 35 degrees. So to go back to your Caldera hike, which we are just about to talk about, tell me about the temperate of Santorini during your hike along the Caldera.
Hot.
So we actually had to plan it. Like, we talked to so many people. We're like, we're going to do the hike. And they're like, make sure you do it in the morning or sometime before dusk. And so we got up like bright and early, ate our breakfast 8 a.m. And I think we started hiking at 9. That was our start time. It was like, actually, we were very right on time, Nick. Like, good on us.
Which is rare for us on vacation.
I know, like drinking Rocky. We were fortunate because the first half of the hike was shaded. The second half of the hike was not shaded.
I also find that Santorini in particular, I don't know if it's because there's not a lot of cloud cover, but it is just super hot. Like it's a different type of hot where it's very muggy, and it also just feels like you're getting cooked. You definitely need to prepare and bring water, take breaks, because a lot of the hike is a lot of uphill on uneasy gravel. So it is definitely something you have to kind of prepare for. No flip-flops. Don't wear flip-flops. Pack them in your bag if you want to look cool in Ia, but don't wear flip-flops on the hike at all.
Where does the hike start?
The hike starts in Fira and goes all the way to Ia, right along the cliff's edge. But there are times at this hike where you are right on the edge, where there's no protection from potentially falling. So you have to be very careful, and you have to make sure that you wear shoes that have the right amount of grip. And also it's almost a 3-hour hike start to finish. So it's definitely something where you really need to time it with the weather and kind of know going into it. But it is such an awesome experience once you finish it and get to the top. Once you get to the top, it's all downhill after. It's great. So the last 35 minutes is amazing. It's all downhill, great for the calves, and you just feel, you feel accomplished. So it's certainly great. But the first half is pretty treacherous. For my first hike ever, it was a lot.
The whole hike, Fira to Ia, is 10.3 kilometers, and if you just do the whole thing and you don't stop for like pictures or anything, the estimated 3-hour hike, so Imerovigli to Ia, this is 8.53 kilometers, estimated 2 hours 49 minutes. I think it only took us 2 hours though. The app that I use for hikes is called All Trails, and it gives you a rating of if the hike is easy, moderate, or hard. It tells you the kilometers. The one thing I will say that's nice though, there weren't any bugs. Like, it's very different to Canada. There was no, I don't know if you had the same experience, Daytona. I don't remember bugs being an issue. It was mainly the sun. I don't think bugs can survive there. They would combust. They would combust.
Yeah, it's too hot. They don't like that.
They simply would cease to exist.
Is there any specific food recommendations you have in Santorini?
We really liked a place called Pita Euros in Ia. It's not really a sit-down restaurant. It's more just a Euro on the go. We actually found the food in Santorini was not as good as the food in Athens, Naxos, or Paros. We also kind of about halfway through Santorini kind of decided that we didn't really want to spend a lot more money on the food in Santorini, having just come from Athens, and really start saving our our remaining funds to go a little bit crazier on dinners in Naxos and Paros because we'd heard really good things about the food there. But Santorini, I food is not something I would spend a lot of money in Santorini. Honestly, I would get something quick in terms of if you want to stay in budget too. It definitely helps.
Out of all the gyros that we tried, pita gyros was our favorite, and it was in Santorini and Ia. Santorini, I'll just say, like, it was really nice, but I think, like, I wouldn't go there again. It was a little bit overrated, I would say, and we really
The view is great,
the view's
but
great, but the view's great
that's
at the other islands too.
I found the food was lacking. The drinks were really expensive, like
Expensive.
20, 30 euro, which is crazy for a drink. And then I also just found that it felt very tourist trappy. It really did. A lot of the stores are all the same stuff, selling those eyes, those Greek eyes everywhere. I will say the Santorini sweater, though, that Daytona is wearing right now
Yeah,
was
Got
pretty
the
sweet.
Santorini sweater on.
Yeah,
I don't
definitely a
know.
very sweet sweater.
I don't know if you touched on this either, Nick, but if we had to do it again, we would stay in Ia. We really enjoyed Ia. Imerovigli it was nice because we wanted it to be romantic. We heard Ia was really like party, but like we don't know what the nightlife was like because we weren't there at nighttime. The transportation at night was a little bit difficult. One tip we would say is definitely try to learn the bus schedule in Santorini. We didn't learn it and we were stressed to find our way back after the hike when we got to Ia, figuring out the bus. We got on the wrong bus, and then we had to get off the bus and then got on a different bus, and we're walking around, we're hot, we're flustered. So like learn the bus schedule because it's so cheap and it makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah, and the shuttles are very expensive too. They were 40 euros to go anywhere on the island.
Flat.
So it was rough because you'd spend like what 140 Canadian dollars just to get to and from one side of the island to the other. And really, when we go to places like Santorini, you want to explore, right? If you don't learn the bus schedule, you're going to be spending a lot of that money that would be better spent on your food, drinks, experiences on just getting to the experience. So the bus definitely was the way to go in Santorini.
When I justify going to Santorini as a travel destination, a lot of it has to do with the view and the sunset. The sunsets in Greece are the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen in the world, everywhere in
100%.
Greece. But there is something special about these steep 150-foot drops in like a perfect half moon shape that you get in Santorini. I don't even know if you guys know this, but it's formed from a volcano. Like the actual lava from the volcano formed Santorini, and that's why it's shaped perfectly in a circle. That's why it's called a caldera, because it's shaped like a cauldron. So that landscape you don't see anywhere else in the world. That is what you go to Santorini for, and for the white houses and the blue roofs. But otherwise, I think you guys hit it right on the head. Maybe you save your money for other places in terms of food. Go to Pita Euro and
Pita euro
enjoy our
every day.
balcony.
Every day eat euros.
When we got to Ia, you know that like iconic blue roof picture that like everybody
Uh-huh.
posts? There was a line, like a 1 hour line, waiting in the beating sun to take a picture with this. And I was like, you know what? When in Ia, we're here. Like I wanted to take the picture. In another life, like I would love to just be a landscape photographer. So going to places like this, like, oh, it's my bread and butter. Like I am in my element. Like I love it. I'm a sucker for a good view.
What was the vibe of Naxos when you got there compared to Santorini?
Completely different landscape. So you could see the entire island just when you ported. When you get to Santorini, it's just this big black wall because it's the caldera. And then we went to Naxos and it was flat and hilly in the background. Naxos, out of all the islands, was the most chill, I would say.
Yeah, we walked straight from the port to our hotel through the cobblestone streets. It has a beautiful like Venetian castle in the background too. It also has the Temple of Apollo kind of greeting you right off the boat. So it's really beautiful. And it was definitely a very different, almost like a fishing town versus Santorini was much more developed for tourists. So it felt like you got a more authentic experience in Naxos than you did in Santorini, even just walking to the hotel and when you had your dinners and stuff like that.
So you go from this luxury accommodation in Santorini. What was your accommodation in Naxos like?
We stayed at a place called Nasaki Beach Hotel, and the beach hotel was right on the beach of Agio Georgios. And it was a beautiful hotel, a lot more budget friendly for sure. Didn't hurt as much. But in Naxos, we really decided because we were staying right on the beach, we didn't really need to have that crazy view. So we essentially had a no view, no balcony room. And it was great. It was right where we wanted it to be, right in Naxos Old Town. The actual hotel was right on the beach, and they actually had reserved space on the beach for beach chairs and things like that. They also had a great restaurant. They had really good breakfast as well. So it was in a really good spot. Probably a 5-minute walk to the heart of the city.
Do you feel like you stayed in the best place in Naxos in terms of proximity?
Yeah, the beach hotel that we stayed at was right near Naxos. I think they called it Old Town. It's called Naxos Town. And that's where the majority of the livelihood is. The walk was short and sweet. We went there every night. And this was mainly like we were traveling by foot most of the time. We did end up renting a car for the first time in Naxos, where we felt kind of like constricted in Santorini, where like, because it was too expensive to travel around because we didn't have the bus figured out. Naxos, it was a lot more closer proximity. So we could get to where we needed to go just by walking there.
What did you guys do in Naxos?
First day we got there, it was again pretty late. Like none of our ferries were super early, so we would like eat breakfast at the last island and then catch up around like lunch or afternoon at the island that we were going to. We had heard a lot of good things about this place called Taverna Naxos, and so that was one of the places we wanted to eat, but it was a spontaneous when we were going to go. We didn't book anything. I don't think you could book at Taverna Naxos. You just had to play it by ear. We went there, and for the first time we tried Naxian cheese, which is a cheese that is specific to Naxos. It's great fried. We tried Naxian fried cheese balls at Taverna Naxos, and it was so good. It was the first time that we tried fried, was it fish? Nick got like a whole thing of fish.
Well, no, it was cod.
But it was little
I'm used to the cod here, and usually the cod here is a pretty big fish. But they were like little like sardine looking fishes.
Little baby
Greek
cods.
cod. Yeah, little Greek cod. So it's really,
Mini
really
Greek
good.
cods.
Yeah, exactly. Mini Greek cods.
But it was so different because we were sitting right at the water, basically. So it was really nice. Different view, but still beautiful. Like you can't get a bad view in Greece. Like that's what I've learned.
It would be very hard to do, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then every night we basically just explored Naxos town in the evenings. Our main highlights for Naxos where we did a catamaran and we went to a restaurant called Rotonda. So the second day was our catamaran day, and we booked it through Naxos Yachting Catamaran. That's what it was called. And Nick did it through Expedia.
Expedia, what's up?
Sponsor, Wander Every Day.
Nick did a lot of the research on that, and we ended up loving it. Like it was the highlight of Naxos, and actually one of the highlights probably of the whole trip, like one of our biggest highlights. We had 3 stops. There was like a lagoon that we were supposed to stop in, but the water was too choppy. But it was really cool because the guy that was driving the boat, the captain of the ship, the captain of the ship, his mom made moussaka for everybody on board.
Oh my God, I love moussaka.
It was really good. Really good.
We got like free drinks all day, and like I feel like Nick and I were the ones like polishing most of this wine. So
Yeah.
we were just like drinking rosé.
I like that.
Eating moussaka. It was honestly like I loved it. It was great. I guess if you get seasick, you wouldn't like going on boat rides, but I'm used to going on boat rides, so it didn't bother me. But I don't think anyone else got sick. Actually, funny, you know the nets that they have at the top of the catamarans? This older guy was just like laying sunbathing, and when you're moving, the water gets really choppy and it splashes. Like if you've been on a boat, you know the front of the boat does this a bit and the water just splashes up. He got absolutely eaten by a wave, and he just kept sleeping.
He didn't move.
And
Yeah.
all of us were just like looking at each other laughing. And then eventually he woke up and we're like, you took that like a champ. And he's like, yeah, I'm just enjoying myself. Okay,
Was
buddy.
he also drinking the wine and just like
He
super drunk on the net?
He might have had the Rocky bottle. I don't know.
It sounds like he had a Rocky experience, literally.
I also took one of maybe the worst pictures of you ever, Lindsay. On the, I did not get the vibe you were going for when you were
Like a picture from like down here where she has like 3 chins. Like, did you do that type of thing?
It was supposed
Lindsay
to be
wanted
like
to
hot
take-
girl net boat photo, but instead I looked
You
like
look dead, honestly. Honestly, it was maybe the worst photo I've ever seen in my life. I looked at it and I was like, this can't be what you're after.
I
It just
tried.
did not,
I
yeah, did
tried.
not
It's
go well.
fine. It's
I
okay.
blame myself. The photographer, hand up accountability. That's on me. After the catamaran ride, we ended up going to a dinner spot called Lithos, and we tried our first ouzo in Greece. We had no idea that it was just straight liquor. I thought it was a mixed drink, but it is straight liquor served in a tall glass,
It is
and
actually messed up.
it is crazy that
Yeah.
people drink that stuff. Like they just
Uzo,
drink it casually.
Uzo, they should call it oh no. Like absolutely not. Like
Okay.
it looked radioactive. I swear it was glowing. I took a sip. I don't like licorice, but I took a sip of it and I was like, Nick, I can't. And so he just champed it. He just was like, well, we paid for it. Bottoms up.
Yeah, so I drank two ouzos and I was feeling absolutely no pain that night. So it was a great night actually. We went bar hopping that night and we went to some really nice iconic bars in Naxos. One of them inside the Venetian castle, which was really cool. That kind of overlooked everything, so that was pretty sweet.
When Nick and I went to our first place in Greece, it was called Naflio. We had ouzo for the first time, and my stomach
Oh,
has
so
never
bad.
been as messed up as it was the day after we had ouzo. Also, it's not good.
You
No,
know,
Ouzo is the devil's
it's
drink. It is.
gross.
It is
true.
intense.
Yeah,
It burns,
You know
and they
what?
serve it to you in like 16 ounces. It's messed up.
I don't think I felt it the next day, but I've always lived by the motto, the only way out is back in. So you just have a couple ouzo drinks the next day, and as long as you just keep doing it, you're just in a perpetual state of ouzo. Maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe we're missing it, you know?
Missing drinking 16 ounces of
No.
an alcohol that has an alcohol content ranging from 37 to 50%.
50%, that's crazy.
It was
You know what? That
So
disgusting.
makes
yeah,
sense. That adds up. I was not moving that great after those two ouzos, so this
I'm
this is
sure.
definitely making sense.
When in
Good
Greece.
value though.
We had
I
to
mean, where
try
else do you
it.
get
They're like
50% for
$4.
4
Yeah.
euro?
It was like a bucket list thing, right? Like you have to try ouzo when you're in Greece. You just have to.
Yeah.
Is there any stories or other activities from Naxos?
So we booked a car rental for our last day. Did rent a car, and that was our first beach club. We went to a beach club called Caya or Caya. It was Caya. Caya Beach Club. Your typical like European beach club. You rent a chair and they give you a menu, and you spend like a minimum or maximum depending on how close to the water you are. So that was my first experience at the beach club. I think it was Nick's too. Yeah, it was really nice, and they had like a restaurant. We ate there. I think we had our lunch there. And after that, we actually spent a few hours there. I fell asleep in a beach chair. The water was too choppy, but Nick went in there and he was swaying in the Aegean Sea. After that, we went to like our second highlight, which was Rotonda, and it was this beautiful, picturesque restaurant at the top of a mountain. Do you
Yeah,
want to?
Mount Zos.
Is it Mount
I think it's
Zos?
Zos. Yeah. In the history or the mythology, it's where Zeus acquires the thunderbolt, and it's where Zeus's cave is. It's a good hiking trail if people are interested in it. But we drove up there, and this dinner had the most stunning view I've ever seen. And we were there for the sunset as well, and it was gorgeous. I actually had emailed them way in advance, and I said, "Hey, I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
are
bro.
like speak English or have someone I can talk to, but I would absolutely love to get the very front table. It's our honeymoon. This was probably like 3, 4 months in advance. So we really decided on Rotonda. I'm glad we did because just the drive up the mountain and the
Oh,
scenic
it was
parts of
so
it, and also
beautiful.
just sitting up there and taking it in was incredible.
Yeah, it
Like
was
it
beautiful.
really was. And it was definitely an experience that really made Noxo stand out.
That sounds amazing.
I will say too, like reserving the restaurants, just side note, it was easier than I expected. A lot of the restaurant websites had a WhatsApp phone number that you could contact them on WhatsApp and do your reservations that way. And then if you couldn't do it that way, you would either email them or Nick actually did a few directly through Expedia, which is kind of where we got some of our perks. We'll have to give you a clip of Rotonda because like the view
Yeah.
is it like
This
stupid.
Daytona, this video I took looks like an AI video. Like it looks fake. Like it
So
was just
pretty.
those clouds were clouding, the sunset was ridiculous. For some reason it caught it in 4K. My phone never does it and it just did it. Honestly,
Did
it
it this
just
time.
wait till you see it.
Whatever.
It
God's
is
plan.
crazy. Yeah, exactly. It is wild.
Rotonda overlooked all of Naxos. You could see the entire city and all of the rolling hills. The sunset there looked
Oh,
fake.
it's just
It looked fake. It was just beautiful. It
You
was
guys are making me want to ditch Italy and go to Naxos.
no, I
it
mean,
honest.
we'll come to
It
Italy
is
with you.
it is wild.
That was our like anniversary, not anniversary, sorry, our like wedding dinner, honeymoon
Yeah.
dinner
Our
main.
honeymoon dinner, that was like the main one.
It's amazing. Anything else to mention about Naxos?
The only thing is like into the next day before we went to Paros, we skipped breakfast and instead we had a wine and cheese tasting for breakfast.
Did you like the wine in Santorini or in Naxos? What were your thoughts on the wine?
In Naxos, we didn't go to a winery in Naxos, so like the wine was okay, but in Santorini, I didn't like the majority of it. There was only like a few that I liked.
The soil that they plant the grapes in, because of it being a lot of it being volcanic ash, the grapes get a minerally taste, and that mineral taste is kind of makes everything taste kind of a little metal, and it adds like a tasting note that I didn't really love. And everything that they do is either steel vat or French oak barrel. So you essentially are going to get a oak taste or a steel taste, one of the two. So it's just a lot.
In general, I didn't really like the Greek wines. I found that they just had weird tastes to them, but I'm not gonna complain. Like I
Hey,
like
wine's
wine.
wine. It's
Yeah,
hard, yeah, it's
I
hard
like
not to like
wine.
wine.
It wasn't my
Yeah.
favorite wine, but it was different. It was very different. Like if you like wine and you try Greek wine, you will see that it's different.
So after Naxos, you went to Paros. Where did you stay in Paros?
We stayed in Nausa at a hotel called Sandeia Bar, which had a very bohemian vibe to it, but it wasn't overly expensive, or it was kind of just in that middle range in terms of value, and it was a beautiful hotel that was probably a 5-minute walk to the main center in Nausa.
It was called Sandeia Luxury Suites. The bar at the hotel was called Sandeia Bar, I think. But that was our like cheap hotel. It was super small. It was very boho. It was so small that our suitcases were basically piled on top of each other. I kind of wish we had a bigger room just because like I don't care so much about the room because we're not going to be in it, but like I want enough space to like get ready. It was still really nice, and the included breakfast there was I think one of our favorites out of all the hotels.
I'm assuming if you use Expedia to book everything, you found all of these accommodations on Expedia.
We used Expedia to we first decided where we wanted to stay, and then we decided what we wanted to be close to. And Expedia provides like a little map that you can kind of decide. And then we were able to see all the rooms, options, booking dates available, and it kind of just put everything into one spot where you don't necessarily have to book through them, but it was a great way to kind of figure out what it was you were looking for and finding something that was where your budget meets what your expectation of what you want from the room is.
What did you guys do in Paros?
Paros is known for its beaches, so a lot of what we did was beach hopping. We spent a lot of our times exploring and eating and drinking quite a bit because Paros is incredible for food. People call it baby Mykonos, and I totally get why. There's a lot of really good food and drinks right on the beach, which is fantastic. But we spent some time beach hopping. We went from Golden Beach to Kolymbithres Beach, which was the highlight of our time in Paros. It was a beautiful beach with rock and sand, and it really had crystal clear water, which was fantastic. And we spent a lot of time drinking and eating in Paros.
Any specific foods that you liked? I know we talked about moussaka, but was there any other food highlights, like specific dishes?
We went to two different seafood restaurants, Taverna Glaff Coast and Sapporo's Seafood Restaurant. And we absolutely love the octopus, calamari, any type of fish that they were serving, whatever the fish was the night, or whatever their catch of the
Snapper.
day was. So in Paros in particular, we spent a lot of it eating a lot of good fish dishes or seafood dishes, which were fantastic. Also a lot of euros.
Nick and I are not beach bums. Like we do not like doing nothing on the beach. Like we do like our chill days, but like we are both very fair-skinned people, like being out in the sun, needing to
My mortal enemy.
literally like Nick's got a little bit worse than me, but I'm also very fair skinned. So like it's nice to be at the beach, but like then you get the sand all stuck in you and stuff. So it's not our favorite. I did not realize that rocky beaches were a thing. So when we went to Kolymbithres Beach, like we actually had planned to go to a third beach after that because that was our like beach hopping day. We didn't. We love this. We're staying here. There's no sand getting all over me. The water was shallow enough that it was warm and it was just so architectural and like cool. And it was like being in an outside cave. Like it was so sick. And seeing that beach makes me really sad that we didn't book going to Milos because Milos is like the rocky beach island of Greece. And if I had known that we were going to enjoy it so much, Nick and I for sure would have booked Milos. And that's kind of why we want to go back. Like we really want to go to Milos. And like there's so many islands. Like I've heard Crete's really cool too. Very big, but or is it big, Crete? Yeah, I think it's the big
Crete's
one.
the biggest island.
Yeah, like big, but like apparently very, very cool, like different side of Greece.
Were the beaches busy in general?
The paid ones were not, the free ones were. So the beach clubs were not very busy, but Kolymbithres was free and it was quite busy.
Well, every beach is free, right? It's just if you like the beaches in Greece are always nobody can own the beach. So it's kind of one of those things where it just gets to that point where you just get a lot of people like trying to lay out in the sun as opposed to buying some of the expensive chairs.
I don't
Because
mean
some of those chairs are like €60, right? It's expensive.
When I say the free ones, I just mean there's certain sections of the beach that have beach clubs. So if you have a strip of beach, like this section will have a beach club, this section is free, this section will have a beach club. The free sections were busy, so if you wanted your privacy, you have to pay for it. But we went at a time in September where like the tourists were starting to die down, so we didn't have any issue with having space or it being too busy for us to enjoy ourselves.
How much were you paying to go to the beach clubs?
It depended on the chair. I think it was like $50 per person, or was it $50 a pair?
The chairs were usually about €30. But then you had a spending minimum too, which could range from 20 to €50 depending on the time that you booked the chair for. We found that it was pretty easy to spend it if you're going to have some drinks and stuff like that, because every beach club's charging €20 a drink. So you get to that spending minimum pretty quickly. But if you're going to go to a beach and if you are going with the soul of just enjoying the water, we don't recommend going to the beach clubs. Just bring some towels and make it work. It's a way to save a ton of money and spend it on other experiences in Greece.
Great advice, Nick. Is there anything else you did in Paros that you want to talk about?
So in Paros, we went to Perikia one day. That's the port town. We wanted to explore it just because we ported there and we dipped right away. Went to Naxos. So I think we got a shuttle there or a taxi. I think our hotel had a shuttle. So we took our hotel shuttle to Perikia. We went to another Euro spot called Pita Frank and it was like highly recommended, but it wasn't our favorite. We kept saying, we're going to go see Frank now. We got to go meet Frank.
And so Frank did not live up to expectations.
No, he did not.
Frankly, he was kind of a dick.
Frankly.
There was one restaurant in Naxos that we went to dinner twice. We had a girl that was working at the bar and she recommended this place where her friend worked and it's called the Grill House. And we went there 2 nights in a row. That's how good it was. And it was just like the local spot. And it was like the most delicious Greek food. I will say, just overall, if you're going to go to Greece, get a Greek salad. The tomatoes there, like, I don't know what it is. They just taste so different. And like, I know that's not, if you don't like tomatoes, like, I don't care. Try a Greek salad in Greece and eat the tomato. Nick doesn't like olives and he ate the olives in the Greek salad. Like, it's just different.
I didn't like it, but I did eat them.
But you didn't not like it either. Like, it wasn't like...
It was better than the olives we get here, but I mean, if you're not an olive person, you're not an olive person. There is no olive that's going to change your mind when it comes to that.
The salad.
But I think your highlight is that one of the things that is recommended is maybe don't go to the most touristy restaurants and maybe spend some time talking to the people that are local and find where they're eating. Because I find that that's where you're going to get authentic Greek food, not so much the super touristy spots where they're gonna rob you at the table, right? And with the menu. So that was definitely one of the better dinners we had. And if we didn't ask for that recommendation from someone that worked there, we would have missed out on it.
I ate a fish
I
eyeball.
don't, it's gross.
Tell me about eating a fisheye.
Try anything once, you know. It tasted just really fatty, and then it also tasted like, you know, the like popcorn kernel, like plastic pieces that get stuck in your teeth. It was like that texture. It was like fine. Wouldn't
Sounds great.
I'd try it. Try anything once. You're in a different country.
You're
Try
not
it.
selling us on it.
I
Just so you
mean,
know,
Even
like
the penis
It wasn't-
spa from Vietnam.
yeah, yeah.
uh,
Maybe not that, but
I don't think I could eat a fisheye. I just don't think I could do
I
it.
just,
No.
I don't know.
I looked at it and said absolutely not. I was like, why is it even on my plate? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even want to look at it. I honestly would say if you're looking at the islands and you want something that's fun and has a lot of activities, Paros is an amazing island to visit. Also, it's really good for windsurfing and stuff like that because it was very windy in Paros. So if you're into the water sports as well, it's a great place. But truthfully, I think of all the islands we went to, Paros was definitely our favorite. If I went back to Greece, I would actually consider going to Paros again just to re-experience it.
That's quite the accolade. Okay, so now we've been to all the islands. After this, you went to Athens. So tell me about your time in Athens. Where did you stay and what did you do?
So the first time we were in Athens, our trip was obviously sandwiched between Athens. We stayed at the Port Square Hotel in Piraeus, right near the port. We figured we should stay near the port because we were going to catch a ferry really early the next day to go to Santorini. We explored Monastiraki Square. That's like one of the famous areas in Athens. It was very busy, I'll say. Like out of everywhere, like Athens was the busiest place, probably just because the population is a lot bigger. Like everybody's there. It's hustle and bustle. Very, very touristy. There are tourist traps there. It kind of reminds me of Paris a little bit, Monastiraki Square. Like I feel like I was walking around. I felt safe, but I felt like I had to clutch my bag, you know?
Well, there are a lot of pickpockets in Monastiraki Square. Like it's one of the notorious areas, so you do need to be careful in that area.
We did a lot of bar hopping in Athens. We got a lot of recommendations from videos and from friends. A few worth mentioning. We went to the Clumsies. We went to Barro Negro, Baba Al Rum. We actually liked Barro Negro so much that we went 2 nights in a row. They had espresso martinis on tap. Very
But
good.
tequila espresso martinis, and they were really good.
Yeah, they
I
were.
was surprised.
All the rage.
When we first got to Athens, we were starving. We were seeking food. We were seeking sustenance. And we wanted to go close to the Parthenon. So we kind of just walked in that direction. And we stumbled across Sin Athena. And it really set the bar high. We went there, we sat, we had a really good view of the Parthenon, the whole Acropolis. And we ordered squid, we ordered calamari, we ordered tzatziki and bread and fried cheese. We got
Fried feta cheese, yeah.
feta cheese with the honey drizzle and the sesame seeds. That was probably top 3 meals that we had in Greece. Like Athens had such good food. Definitely if you're in Athens, go to Sin Athena. Like it was just so, so, so good. And the view is very, very pretty. And it would probably be even better at nighttime because like it's literally like Parthenon in your face.
Yeah, something I loved about Athens in general is that the Parthenon and the Acropolis is on top of a hill right in the middle of the city. And at all times of night, you can look it up and it's all lit up. It's so pretty. So totally, I think if you can see that at night and just have it lit up, it's almost like the centerpiece of the city naturally.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very cool.
It's like the Eiffel Tower of Greece.
Yeah.
And it's a mandatory visit as well. And it's one of those things where we recommend and our experience is we booked an actual tour because there's a lot of history in that area, and there's a lot of things where reading off a template or reading off some of the signs that they have there is not going to give you the full experience or history. So we booked a tour and we spent probably 2 hours climbing it slowly and really just getting the full history of it and really experiencing that. And honestly, I highly recommend that. It's fantastic. And all the tour people gave really good information and history. And really, so we understand the history of it as well. So it was fantastic. And Lindsay had a really good experience up at the top. So it was fantastic.
When I got to the top of the Parthenon, I just looked at the city of all of those buildings, all the white like apartments and buildings and just the architecture. And as we started walking away, I was tearing up. Nick looked back at me. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I just am so like happy and thankful to be here. And it's so beautiful. Pictures don't do it justice. And it just was so cool. Like, I'm not a huge like Greek mythology buff or anything like that, but it's just so cool to be standing on such like a big piece of history. I don't know, it just really got me.
Even other religions. I mean, after Greek mythology, when the Christians came to Greece, the Parthenon itself became like a Christian church. And then when the Ottomans came and took over Greece, it became like an Islamic place of faith. The Parthenon is a piece of history. It's older than the Colosseum, so it's like 2,500 years old. The fact that it's still intact in any capacity is crazy, especially because Athens gets so many earthquakes. So obviously all of the old buildings there are at risk of deterioration. I also don't know if you guys remember or heard this, but the buildings do have some fading, and it's from the pollution. So like the sculptures are less defined, and it's from the pollution in the city. But they're still, many of them are still standing.
Yeah.
It's really, I do think that the Acropolis in general is much more incredible than the Colosseum. Hot take. It's older.
Scorching hot take. I like
Scorching
it
hot
though.
take.
I like
You
it.
guys haven't been to Italy, but if you're looking for ancient architecture, the Acropolis is where it's at. So I can totally understand why you had that emotional response. It is so incredible. And it's incredible how they built the whole city around it. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
In Canada, we don't have stuff like that.
No, definitely not. The last night that we were in Athens, we had decided to go to the 360 cocktail bar. We'd heard
I'm so sorry about this, by the way.
Yeah, we heard a lot of good things. Everybody we talked to that had been to Greece before all recommended going to the 360 cocktail bar. And when we got there, we understood why. It's a rooftop bar, has an unbelievable view of the Parthenon and the surrounding areas. I think Plaka it overlooks, so it's really, really pretty, and you see all the clay rooftops and stuff. It's beautiful. But we ended up catching, we must have caught him on an off night. And it happens, sometimes that happens, but we ended up having a couple of drinks and leaving. Just we might have had a misunderstanding with the hostess, but it was still a beautiful location, but we ended up stopping off at a place called Naxos, and it had this yogurt kebab, and it ended up being one of the best dinners that we had in the whole time. So some things are meant to be. And it was phenomenal. It was a really, really good place. So it ended Athens on a really good note, and our trip in that regard on a really, really good note.
Also, before we went to bed, obviously we hit up Lukumades. Everyone talks about it. Got to have a little bit of fried dough and gelato.
So good.
But what's the flavor of choice? Yeah. I have a very obvious one, but what's your favorite flavor?
We just did, I think it was honey and cinnamon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But honey and cinnamon's the OG.
Honey and cinnamon's the OG.
The best one.
We had it twice actually. So I think we had it once when we first got there. I got a different flavor, or you did. Did you get pecan something?
I think I got a strawberry one. I believe it was strawberry.
It was pecan or like cookies and cream or something.
Either way,
like you can't go wrong with fried carbs. Let's be real. Can't go wrong with frozen dairy. Can't go wrong with fried carbs. It was very good.
Lukumades are essentially almost like a Timbit, but like lighter, fried, or Mr. Puffs. Mr. Puffs. There's a Mr. Puffs in Hamilton.
Yep. There is. There definitely is.
It's just the way better version of Mr. Puffs, like the fresh version.
100%. 100%.
How would you a Timbit?
So
how would you explain that to a non-Canadian? It's like a donut hole, a light.
Yeah.
It's like
a light, fluffy donut hole.
It's like a wait. Do non-Canadians know what like the beaver tails are? Elephant ears? What do you?
No chance. Someone who isn't Canadian knows what an elephant ear is.
I think that might be a Canadian culture thing for sure.
Once I had Lukumades at Lukumades, like the place you guys went to, I must have had it like almost every day after that, like on every island we went to. I was like, where are the Lukumades? Where's the honey? Where's the cinnamon? Where is the nuts?
You know what was for me? Have you ever had Bougatsa when you were in Greece?
Yes.
Oh my God. I ate Bougatsa maybe every day.
Every day from a different bakery.
They eat it as a breakfast item. I was eating it at all times of the day. I'll have it at night on the way home. I'd hit up the bakeries. I get it in the morning. Oh my God. The custard square, it's kind of like a custard square realistically, but
Deep fried.
yeah, deep fried custard square. And honestly, unbelievable. I would go back just for the Bougatsa.
Did you guys try any different types of Greek coffee, like Greek coffee itself?
We just tried Greek coffee, like the standard one. I guess the one that like they say that's what the old timers drink is the Greek coffee, and that was a little too much for us. But a nice cappuccino Fredo, oh, so
So
good.
good.
And way easier to drink than the Greek
Greek
coffee.
coffee.
So
I don't know what
you
they
gotta
put.
really like coffee to drink Greek coffee. Like,
You gotta like the bitter. It's
oof.
almost like ash mixed with coffee. It's very strong. The
I
Freddo
like
cappuccino.
I thought he butted out in our drink when I first took a sip of Greek coffee. The texture of it's like instant coffee, but they put too much coffee to water ratio, and that's what it tastes like, to be honest. It's yeah, I'm not gonna say it was tasted terrible, but it was tough to drink for sure. That would mess my stomach up.
So, our first day in Greece, we went to Nafplio and we decided to do a hike. And the hike was 1,000 steps up this fortress that overlooked the town because Nafplio was the first capital of Greece and it was a port town. So, there's a fortress that protected it. Anyways, I had no idea you were not supposed to drink the grounds. So, Nick and I wake up at like 6 a.m. I have a Greek coffee with a Bougatsa and I'm drinking it. I'm like, what is this like groundy stuff? Did they leave the grounds in it? Is this part of the experience? I guess if it's part of the experience, I need to drink it. So I drank all the grounds and then we walked up 1,000 stairs. I was so ill. I got to the top. I'm like, oh, I wasn't supposed to drink that. I wasn't supposed to drink that. Probably why maybe I also got sick like 3 days later after drinking the ouzo. Like my stomach was just taking it.
Yeah,
Taking
it sounds like Greece was really putting a beating on you.
Greece, but at the same time, they have like the freshest food, right? Like
What's the
the
best?
best fish I've ever had, the best
Yeah.
tomatoes. Italy's also very good, but Greece was good. So much fresh salads.
Oh, it's
I'd say the biggest
Yeah.
difference between Italy and Greece was that Greece, I definitely felt like in general, I was eating healthier.
yeah,
Like it's just all so fresh.
yeah. Oh yeah.
The one thing too that
So
we
good.
really liked about Greece was the water prices were regulated. So water bottles, no matter where you went, like a regular, just like a normal size water bottle, was 50 cents. They couldn't charge more for it. If you wanted a bigger one, just like a 1 liter, I think it was like 75 cents or maybe $1. But
I think it was 75 cents, but either way, it's
I
nice that it was
wish,
regulated on the hot days. They should do that here.
yeah, I wish they did that here because, like, why am I paying $5 for a 500 ml bottle of water? You know?
It's true. And water is like necessary for life. So why would
Literally.
Scotiabank Arena charge $7 for a bottle? Those absolute scum savages.
And it's
And
Dasani.
it's
Who even wants to
Dasani.
drink it? Like,
Gross.
Dasani's disgusting.
it's
Aquafina
gross.
disgusting.
The
Gross.
two grossest waters.
Nasty.
I think I heard something about the Detroit River involved in there, so I don't know if that's true or not, but
The other thing that
tastes
was
like it.
the other thing that was cool about their water bottles, and I think this is all across Europe, like you would take the lid off, but there would be an extra piece of plastic that would keep your
Oh, and
lid
it'd
on.
flip.
And a lot of people would drink their water and the lid would hit you, but the idea of it is you're supposed to pop it up and down so that you don't get hit with the lid and that you don't lose your lid. So that
smart.
and so that you don't litter your lid either. And we were so confused. I'm like, why is my lid not coming off my water? Like, but they did it that way because they're smart.
I never noticed that. Thank you for the tip, Linz.
You're welcome.
Was there one memory on your trip that still gives you goosebumps when you think about it?
I think for me, it like there's two. The initial shock of getting to the top of the Parthenon, thinking back to that literally gives me goosebumps. Like just my reaction. That and the Caldera hike, just breathtaking. I have no other words to describe it. Like it just sucks because pictures just do not do it justice.
Did your trip to Greece change anything about how you see the world or how you see yourself?
I really enjoyed our trip to Greece. I have always wanted to travel a lot, and we really weren't able to because, much like a lot of people, we had built up the finances to be able to travel, and then COVID hit. So Greece was like, and Europe is like one of our big travel destinations that we really want to explore. Going to Greece really gave me like the travel bug. Nick had said to me when I was like, because I was taking pictures of everything, I was living in the moment, but like I wanted to take pictures too because everything was just so beautiful. So I would kind of like document our day a little bit and then put my phone away and enjoy the time with Nick enjoy the view. Because like I said, pictures don't do it justice, but I can try. And Nick just said to me, he's like, Lindsey, you look so in your element. Like you're glowing. Like I can tell that you just want to travel and like I can tell that you love it here. So it's like, you're right. Like I feel like Greece kind of opened up my eyes to me wanting to go into Europe. Greece was my like Europe gateway. Even though I went to Paris, that to me, like Nick and I both agree that we wouldn't go back to Paris. Like we would rather go somewhere new, but like if we had the option, we probably wouldn't go back to Paris unless it was like on the way to something else. But Greece was like otherworldly, really opened up my eyes. It really makes me want to travel more.
Greece was the gateway drug.
It was the
It really was.
Travel.
It really was.
Nick, do you have any responses to the question?
Maybe the sun isn't my mortal enemy. And maybe we can be friends. I don't know. But, I didn't get sunburned once. To be continued.
That's pretty impressive. It's pretty strong sun.
Especially at the beach every day too. It's I was shocked, but no, the sun really, it treated me really well, and I enjoyed it.
I'm happy to hear. What's one piece of advice that you'd give someone planning the same trip?
I would say, for me at least, really take the time and find what you want out of the trip. Everybody has different experiences they're looking for when they travel. Really narrow down what you're looking for and do the research on the islands, because I think there's something like 30 major islands in this Cyclades, and they all offer different things. So really know what you're looking for and really plan ahead and try and really soak it all in and really enjoy it. And just honestly, eat lots of tzatziki and have a good time.
I think to add on to that, my one tip would be if you're going to Greece and you want to do the Cyclades, I would do at least 3. I think 3 is the minimum that you should visit.
Just for a different experience and like a different vibe. Yeah, because it sounds like Santorini, Paros, and Naxos were all really different. I've been to the Ionian Islands. I don't remember what Rhodes is from, but even doing those is different. So I would even recommend even further, like get outside the Cyclades even and go to other places, because the Ionian Islands are right beside Italy, so they have an Italian vibe, and Rhodes is right beside Turkey, and it's like medieval. So, cool. But I totally agree with your take. Okay, what's your next travel destination if you were to go anywhere right now?
We're planning a trip to Ireland. We wanted to do Ireland and or Scotland. It ended up being Ireland, but we aren't able to do that now, so that's on the back burner. But we definitely want to do, because Nick has Irish background, I have Scottish background. We definitely want to do that trip. Nick would love to go to Germany during Oktoberfest, but I don't know if we could do all 3 in one trip. Like it's kind of a tough. If we did Ireland, we'd have to do it on our own.
I think Ireland would be paired well with Scotland and England. And I think Germany would be paired well with like Netherlands and maybe the south of France. But a lot more European trip.
Okay, guys, it's time for a game. We're going to be playing Me or You, Honeymoon Edition. Here's how it works. I'm going to fire off a series of quick questions, and Nick and Lindsey, you have to answer fast. Either by saying Nick, if the answer is Nick, or Lindsey, if the answer is Lindsey. No time to overthink it. This is all about gut reactions, quick laughs, and seeing how well you really know each other after 2 weeks of Greek island hopping in Athens. All right. Are you ready? Who planned more of the trip?
Nick.
Who was more excited for Greek food?
Lindsey.
Nick.
Who took more photos?
Lindsey.
Who was the better navigator?
Lindsey.
Like through the
Google,
street?
Actually. Google Maps probably was the best navigator.
Google was the MVP.
Yes,
so
shout out
Lindsey.
Google.
I have the
so
Google
Lindsey,
phone.
she had the Google phone, yeah.
Who wanted to sleep in more?
Nick.
Who already wants to go back?
Both.
Before we finish up, we're going to do some listener questions. And we actually had quite a few, so I'm going to try and keep it brief. What's one overrated thing about Greece versus what's one underrated thing that you don't hear enough about?
I would say one of the most overrated things, and this is going to sound harsh to some, but I do think Santorini gets a lot more credit than it might deserve. I think the sunsets will make you want to stay there, but it is very touristy, and I do think that of the other islands, we didn't really experience that. Underrated is the tomatoes. I don't know why nobody talks about it. They're incredible. Why don't we have tomatoes like that? I don't get it.
I agree.
You agree with the tomatoes being underrated?
I do. People don't talk about them enough.
Yeah, fantastic.
Seriously.
How easy was it to communicate with the locals? Was there a language barrier at all?
There were
Little to no language barrier. It was pretty easy. We didn't come across anywhere where we had to get help from a translator or something like that. Everyone we talked to spoke English, and a lot of these areas that we visited are heavily tourist areas. I do think if you went off the beaten trail a little bit and maybe went for a more authentic experience, you might run into something because it's a significantly different language with a different alphabet, but we never came across it in any of the major areas.
the only other thing, sorry, I was thinking back to like I can't think of anything that's so underrated. The other thing I could think that's overrated too were maybe a few of the well-known bars in Athens. They're really good, but I just think for the price, it's worth going, but don't spend all your money at the bars in Athens if you don't have to, at the big, like, high name bars.
What is the public bathroom situation like? This is from an IBS girly, so it's very important.
Okay, so in terms of cleanliness, the public bathrooms were great. Athens, it was just like Toronto, I would say, but we didn't really like go to the washroom when we were out and about. We more just went when we went into a restaurant or when we were at the hotel. But when we were in the islands, the bathroom experience was a little bit different. You were not supposed to flush. Like, you couldn't flush toilet paper. So you would have to wipe and put it in a garbage can beside you, and you could only flush liquid. So, like, they would come in every morning and, like, literally, like, collect your poo paper. And it was weird. I forgot about that. Well, for fellow IBS girlies, because hi, I have Crohn's disease, it kind of makes you feel a little self-conscious because it's literally in your room with you and like you can't flush it away. But it's good because they come and take the garbage every day. It feels weird to me as a Canadian that they're doing that, but like you just have to remember that this is the norm for them and they're doing it for everybody else too.
I actually do have one more question. My apologies. This is from a big fan. Is the old wise tale true that Nick Crozier is the Greek cat whisperer?
It is true. Cats love me. I don't know what it is. They do love me. I met a lot of cats. Actually, you know what? We'll insert a picture of a cat that he followed us around. We named him. Didn't we name him, Lindsay? I can't remember.
Oreo?
Oreo. Yeah.
Tyrio?
Tyrio. No,
Like
it's
the
Tyrio.
tiramisu Oreo? Tyrio?
Like the tiramisu Oreos we were eating.
Yeah.
He didn't eat them, but he really wanted to. And he was a big fan.
If people are cat people, you need to go to Greece because cats are just everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And if you sit down on any street, they will come to you if you make the noises. Or if you're the cat
What are the
whisperer.
What are the
noises?
noises, Nick?
What are the
You gotta
noises?
hit it with the
No, that's not
You
the
know?
noise. It's
that's the noise. This comes from the cat whisperer. Telling
You're
you
doing it wrong.
the is overrated. You hit him with the little bit of the t in there and it'll that's the difference. Coming from a cat whisperer named Nick.
I know. I'm sorry. I
Heard
shouldn't
it
have
here
doubted
first.
you. Obviously, you know best. I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, do you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap up the episode?
Go to Greece. If you're thinking about it, don't. Go book it. Get that flight booked and work the rest out as you go. It's such a beautiful country, awesome people, and a great culture, and the food is unbelievable. So book the trip. Do it. You only live once.
Also, very good music playing at all times. So if you want to do a little bop walking down the street, you're not going to be judged for it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Nick and Lindsey, for joining me today on Wander Every Day. I loved hearing about your honeymoon. I think it sounded amazing. I really appreciate your honest takes. I think part of the reason I wanted to do this podcast is so that people can actually know what's worth doing and what's not worth doing. So having a take like Santorini maybe being a bit overrated is important in my opinion. And I think you shared some great recommendations, some great tips, and honestly, you're just great to talk to. So I appreciate you guys for coming on and look forward to having you back after your Ireland and Scotland trip maybe.
100%.
Maybe.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking about it.
Thanks for having us.
Tell me you didn't listen to that episode and think, I need to go to Greece now. I'm telling you, it is a spectacular place. Although Nick and Lindsey may have done it in less of a budget-friendly style, there's still so many ways that you can enjoy Greece and the Greek islands with a reasonable budget. Enjoy the Euros, maybe only go to Santorini for a day. Or maybe you skip Santorini altogether and just go to some of the smaller, lesser-known islands. Greece has so much to offer. And next week, when I review a few more destinations. Maybe you can decide on the best itinerary for your next Greece trip. If you loved today's episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, or write a review. Maybe even give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your local podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram at wander_every_day. Thank you so much again for the support in episode 1. Can't wait to see you guys back next week. But until then, happy wandering.